Democrats will regret the power grab.
What's up, everybody? It has been a long time. I hardly ever post on this anymore. The real short story is, post-election, I just took a breather. My life shifted around, the deck shuffled, all that stuff. Different priorities. I got kids, the whole 9 yards. I do apologize, but it's just going to be sporadic now. It's not going to be like a daily thing like I used to do. But the reason I'm talking to you now is, I read an interesting article. It got my imagination aflutter. And here's basically my thought. Every single time you hear a pro-abortionist, a Planned Parenthood advocate, a pro-murder, do you realize there's upwards of 70 million known abortions that have taken place in this country since the 70s? That is shocking numbers of genocide. Shocking. Every time you meet an apologist for this barbarity, now we've even wandered into the sick, perverted, it's not perverted, it's sadistic territory of partial birth abortion. Special place in hell type places. Every time you hear an advocate for this, no matter how they phrase it, it doesn't matter whether they're talking about woman's choice or any other deflective terminology, you are listening to a person that your grandchildren will view like we view the KKK. Just know that. These people are on the evil side of history, and it's so important to understand that. Just look today at the way we look at Jim Crow laws, at the way that we look at the pockmarks on the face of American history by way of slavery, and we should. Slavery, hands down, the second greatest sin in the tapestry, the quilt work that is American history, second only to the murderous genocide of abortion. And sadly, it leans once again heavily on the side of the African American community, as Planned Parenthood was founded to isolate laser-like precision on the black community, black single mothers, to exterminate them. This is, of course, something that we know historically. But abortion, unfortunately, has bled its evil beyond that, way beyond that, as if that wasn't horrific enough. Listen, just know this. For example, if you're listening to this and you find yourself entertaining the convoluted, pretzel-like, contorted arguments of the pro-choice or any other Orwellian newspeak nonsense on this issue, as if you're not dismembering a human body and sucking it out of its mother's womb, just know that you will be seen. And for example, I'll give you an example of how this plays out. All these people that are tweeting all this nonsense about abortion, right? They're out there just tweeting the most horrific defenses of this practice. Imagine if the slave owners were tweeting this, Facebook status updates, Instagram posts. That's what the left and the Democrats are doing all the time. A digital footprint of their barbarity and their evil. A digital footprint that their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren will read in shame, in horror, that their parents, that their grandparents defended the greatest evil that they will have, in their rearview mirror. Just remember that. And I encourage you to place that before the eyes of abortion apologists. I encourage you to lay that reality in front of them. Look, the tide is already turning. Millennials, not only millennials, but the generation that follows millennials, they're drastically turning their backs on abortion. And there's a lot of reasons for this. The most obvious reason is it's morally horrific. But there's also a reason that they're a very emotionally driven generation. And when you look at just the emotions of this, it's horrific. Then as you see the science roll in, everything we learn about biology, everything we learn about the womb with every passing day fortifies the argument that life is obviously conceived at conception obviously forms of conception. And of course that we've known this for a long time, but I'm just saying it continues to be fortified by science for the non-religious. Listen, I'm just reminding you, both if you're out there babbling on and flippantly defending this horrific practice of subhuman animal barbarity, only rare species of animals would devour their own young. Only very, very rare, Arctic Cretan animals would devour their own young for their own convenience. The left has pulled up a chair beside that small company. All I can tell you is the tweets that they read, their grandchildren will bend over, stomach, knee to chest in shame, will feel the chalkboard nails of shame for their own kin, for their own family. They will feel the despicable in the same way that if you discovered that your ancestor had mistreated human beings, enslaved human beings, whatever you're feeling in that regard, that's what they will feel. Something to bear in mind. Listen, this fight is not over. This is one of the greatest moral fights, if not the greatest moral fight of your lifetime. Get in the game. Thank you for listening. Thanks, guys. I'll try to talk to you a lot more often. For the 12 of you that are still getting phone notifications of this show, I fairly whittled down, I'm sure, the audience in my negligence. But for those of you listening, listen. It's one worth the hassle. It's one worth the fight. Take it easy, guys.
À Broclo, les productions.